bang, we're live right now. And again, I just want to thank you all for joining us today. I mean, this is fun for me to be able to go through these Power of Four presentations. And again, I hope you guys can give me some feedback when it's all done as to, you know, the parts you liked, if there's anything you didn't or want to see differently. And we'll try to improve each and every time that we go through this stuff. I am going to start by sharing my screen because we have a lovely PowerPoint presentation that we'd like to share with everybody. And now if I can just figure out how to get to, there it is, slideshow, play from start, move this stuff back out of the way. Okay, perfect. This is the part in the presentation, if I'm doing it, if you guys are doing it or whoever, where we would just share a little bit about what our story is. And forgive me, because I know some of you have heard this before from me, but I've been a consumer of these great, incredible foods for almost 30 years. I've been in the business of Sunrider full-time for the past 20. Prior to Sunrider, I came from a corporate background in the biotech and pharmaceutical industries, where I had the great pleasure actually of managing a great team of scientists, and we were manufacturing synthetic DNA and peptides for the drug discovery and the research industry. It was a fabulous job, but there's three things that I really didn't like so much about the corporate world. The first one was I didn't get to choose who I worked with most of the time. And one of the things I love about Sunrider is I can kind of pick the team of people that I want to spend my time with. I always felt in competition with the folks that I worked with for the next raise or the corner office. And again, in Sunrider, I learned very quickly from the very beginning coming into this business that my success is based on your success, which is kind of opposite of the corporate model. So I love that aspect. And the last thing is, even though I always held executive positions in the corporate fields, I really had limited control over my own fate. And another thing that Sunrider taught me was both good and bad, but I am 100% responsible for my own success. So again, depending on how you look at that, sometimes I love it. Other times I wish I wasn't the only one responsible for what I'm doing. But bottom line, those are three things that I absolutely love about this particular business model that I did not find in the corporate field. To kind of, we are going to talk some about products here too. So before I do that, I like to just deal with the legalities. And if you don't mind, none of the information provided in this presentation is intended to represent a diagnosis or cure of any illness or disease. And let me see if I can change the gallery around and get you guys up top where I want you. Perfect. I want to talk a little bit about Sunrider now. And again, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, bear with me. For me, when I look at Sunrider and why someone should choose Sunrider over all the other opportunities out there, this is a company that's been around over 38 years, so it is extremely stable. You guys have all heard me talk before about the fact that I love the fact that Sunrider operates in over 50 countries around the world. In fact, one of the things I love most, short of COVID and the issues that we're dealing with now with travel, was the ability to travel around the world a couple times each year and interact with different cultures and different foods, etc. And now I just get to do it virtually. So that's the way it is. Sunrider, coming from a manufacturing background like I did, I was extremely impressed when I looked at Sunrider because they internally handle all of the research, development, and manufacturing of all of our products. And why that's so important for me is because, first of all, most companies in this industry do not internally handle all those things. And in particular, most of the companies in our industry will go to a third-party manufacturer. They will give them a recipe on what they want them to make, and they will have absolutely no control over the manufacturing process. That is totally different in Sunrider. Again, they 100% handle all of the research, development, and manufacturing of over 400 of the world's finest health and beauty products. And as we all know, that includes our herbal nutritionals, our cleansing beverages, our weight management, our sports and fitness, our green household, and our all-natural line of skincare and cosmetics. All of them, of course, manufactured at our 1 million square foot facility here in Los Angeles, California, that you can see on the screen. Truly, when people look at that picture of the manufacturing and I talk to them about the 100% research, development, et cetera, the question does come up quite often is, well, okay, that's all great, but true, how does Sunrider really compare and they make a difference? And this slide really talks about that because it's not necessarily said here, but the main focus at Sunrider is on quality. And all of our foods are scientifically tested to ensure that the ingredients and the final products are of the highest quality. One of the things that I dealt with in manufacturing pharmaceutical grade products was GMP standards, okay? And there's really 3 different standards here in the US. There's basic manufacturing, there's food grade, which is higher than that, where the government says, hey, you're going to be producing food. You need to do certain things to make sure the quality is good so people like us can eat it. And then there's the highest standard, which is the pharmaceutical grade. And my point with going through this is Sunrider chooses the highest grade, the pharmaceutical grade standards, which exceed the requirements set by the FDA. So really what this all comes down to is, again, it's all about quality in Sunrider. There's never any fumigation or any crazy stuff going on with the raw materials. In fact, I can remember talking to Dr. Chin several times during or after facility tours. And one of the things that was always important to me was, Dr. Chin, you know, you bring in all these raw materials from around the world, and I get it. You controlled everything from the field to the final packaging, but what kind of testing is going on with these raw materials? And he would say to me, he said, Mac, you know, even though we control everything, we still reject 20 to 25% of all the raw materials that come into this facility because they don't meet the quality standards that we impose on ourselves in terms of production of these foods. So again, that's truly the Sunrider difference there. In terms of philosophy of regeneration, you guys know this already, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail. But, you know, is everything okay? Good? I'm sorry, I'm hearing some background. I just want to make sure everyone's okay there. Philosophy of regeneration for me, it simply means that if we feed our body with a regular combination of whole food nutrients and cleansing beverages, our body will not only be healthy and in balance, but it will renew, repair, and regenerate itself naturally, which is the way God designed our bodies to work. So again, that truly is what makes Sunrider different in terms of production of their foods. We've put the slide in there because typically, and this is something that Judy and Wendy and I have talked about many times in the past, and kind of set up that series of 5 calls we did back in May or early June, whenever the heck we did those. It wasn't so long ago. But we were laughing at the fact that when, oops, sorry about that, my computer wanted to jump ahead. When we start somebody off in Sunrider, it typically is with our foundational foods, which are Nourish, Balance, and Cleanse foods. The Nourish side comes in with VitaShake and things like New Plus. The Cleanse, of course, with Fortune Delight, Cali, and the Sunny Dew, of course, in terms of the sugar replacement. And then the Balance comes in with Quinary. So we wanted this up there in presentations where we wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about these foundational foods and what they really mean for the body. But today we're going to kind of skip ahead. And again, coming back to Sunrider, what does Sunrider do for us over and above producing all these great things? They're really our partner in business. And if you guys have had a chance to spend any time on the website versus the old version or the new one, you've seen that the marketing group there, led by Lisa Hendrickson in particular, have put together a ton of tools for us in the last year or so. Everything from the selling systems with daily wellness, the host programs with the registration and the host rewards, selling systems, success guides with the how-tos, the scripts, I mean, everything you could possibly want, up to and including simple interviews, which are, it's interesting. I mean, these things are all stuff that all of us as veterans for Sunrider, we've seen for a long time. I mean, what's really daily wellness and host stuff? It's our shake and tea parties. It's things we've done at our meetings forever in terms of sampling for people and so forth, but it's put together in kind of a new, unique way from Lisa. The simple interviews. I mean, how many years have we talked about the method of form, family, occupation, recreation, and material needs? When we talk to people and we're listening for their needs, those are the type of questions we're asking. That's what's discussed in the simple interviews. The product fact sheets have all been updated. There's a ton of incredible information on the website. So again, spend a little time with the website, look at some of these things. And my opinion on all these tools and even the things we're doing now is, I think it's kind of our job as leaders to present to new people, hey, here are all the various ways you can approach the business. Find the things that resonate with you and your personality. And those are the ones that you need to focus on, because again, if I don't know about you guys, but I always hate it when somebody's kind of talking from a script. You can tell they're doing that. And instead, when they're talking from their own integrity, that's where I believe what they are saying. When they're speaking from integrity, when they're speaking from their heart, you can tell that. So I always tell people, hey, if your deal is more of a direct sale approach with host parties and stuff, fabulous. We've got a system that'll help you there. I'll work with you with that. If you enjoy more the shake and tea parties and stuff, that's right up my alley. Let's talk about that and how we can do it. Are you someone that will appreciate the power of four, which we'll talk about in just a second? Fabulous, because that's what we're teaching right now. Are you willing to commit to the 8 critical steps for success, which again, we'll go into a little bit here, and then again on our call later this afternoon. So again, find the part that works for you and your personality. And as a good leader, we will help you to succeed with that approach, because it has to be about what your comfort is in this stuff. Our overall team, with our uplines, or I should say through our uplines, Bob and Donna Dara, who established this Rising Stars team, we have, again, an incredible community of very like-minded people that come together under the Rising Stars umbrella. And this is a picture from convention in Vegas this last year. And it's just a small representation actually of what the overall team is. And what I'm most proud of is the fact that probably, I don't know, I'm going to guess 65 to 70% of the people that you would identify in this particular picture are all part of our group. Okay, so we represent a huge portion that includes all of us here from North America. We have Canadian people that are part of our team. And obviously through the international work that I'm able to do and love so much, we have the Hungarians, a lot of the Western Europeans, many of the Australians as well, that will come to convention, that will be on these calls occasionally and participate with us in terms of what we're doing and offer support when we need it. So I love the fact of what Bob and Donna have done. Most of you are aware that they created a Facebook page for the Rising Stars team page. If you're not part of that yet, whether you participate or not, join the team. Let us know. We'll get you on there, because there's a ton of resources there. Everything from the files to access to Dr. Karen Dees and her weekly product calls, which are so informative, to our Tuesday night team calls that we do, etc. So again, let us know, communicate through me, through your upline, whatever. If you're not part of this, we want you on the Rising Stars team page, simply so you can see and keep up with what's going on. With that said, one of the things that Bob and Donna did when they first came into the company, which happened to coincide very closely with the launch of the Infinity Compensation Plan that we're working with, is we kind of worked together to reverse engineer the plan. And what was very obvious to all of us is there's something very magical about the number 4 within that plan, which we'll talk about here in a second. And that's where Bob and Donna came up with this power of 4. And, especially dealing in circumstances like we are today, I mean, with a pandemic around the world, et cetera, we've all kind of had to change the way we live, how we communicate with people, how we're reaching out, et cetera. And the one thing, or the things that we've noticed so much, is obviously Sunrider has the right foods. I mean, if you're talking about building up and nourishing your immune, your respiratory system, cleaning your foods, cleaning your home with the best quality products, man, we've got them, no question about that. And the other thing that we've, of course, experienced, which is very much a negative, in my opinion, for so many people, and sorry about my computer jumping forward here, is that, again, a lot of people, because of COVID, have been either furloughed or laid off from their jobs. So I certainly know for myself, as I'm talking to people out there, more and more folks that would never be receptive to listening to this type of opportunity in the past are now finding this something that they feel very comfortable with and they can work with going forward. Sunrider, within the Infinity Compensation Plan, has 9 different bonuses. There's 14 different ranks along the path to success, everything from IBO up to Icon Royal. And I must apologize. I did some updating on the numbers here, and all of these numbers do represent true average monthly incomes by rank for the year 2019. Unfortunately, what happened with the little flippy-do to the red signs is it reverted everything back to the previous year, which actually show lower numbers than they are in terms of averages in 2019. So I apologize about that. But the three key ranks that we want to focus on right now are Star Prime, Ace Royal, and Hero Royal. And the reason we chose those are, and obviously this isn't universal what I'm about to say next, but typically I will say when I talk to people about the opportunity of Sunrider and they express an interest in the business, I ask them for three numbers. I say, hey, okay, look, give me, gosh darn it, I'm gonna have to work on this thing advancing so fast. I asked them to give me three numbers. The first one is, hey, what's a number that would like help you today? Okay, maybe pay a bill or do something to help you buy your product, or something small you can donate to charity, whatever it is that works for you. And the number typically is around $200. I then ask them for a second number, which is a number that would actually help them improve their life. Maybe it's a better car payment. Maybe it's a down payment on a home. Maybe it's something to help them with their mortgage. Maybe it's something to help to put their kid through school. Maybe again, it's just a charitable donation they want to make. It's whatever is up to them. That number tends to be around $1,200 to $2,000, okay, which fits into that Ace Royal rank. And then I'll also ask people for a dream number. And I know when people start dreaming, we all have our different perspective of what that dream number would be. But it's amazing to me that as many times as I ask that of people, the number tends to come back, and this is people stretching. They're going, well, gosh, you know, $20,000 a month would be beyond my wildest dreams. And I just, what would I do with that kind of income if I had it? So that's kind of why we focused on these three ranks in terms of our Power of Four presentation. Where does it all begin? It starts with us switching brands to Sunrider, using some of the same money that we're currently spending on expensive and ineffective supermarket and drugstore brands and switching to the higher quality Sunrider foods and products. And again, we picked $200. There's, again, nothing magical about that other than it does fit into our examples, which you'll see in a second. But again, whether it's $5, whether it's $50, whether it's $100, whether it's $500 a month, that you can take money that you're spending elsewhere and invest it over here in your business, in your health, towards your success. This is what we want people to do. And Wendy and I were talking after last week's call, and this is a new slide that we added in here because we didn't have a transition position. And again, a lot of people will say, well, okay, Mac, you know, yeah, I do stop at Starbucks and I will spend $5 on a coffee, okay? That's one of the things that you could potentially replace with Fortune Delight or Cali Tea. I'm taking a calcium supplement. What do you guys have for that? Well, we have the finest coral-based calcium in the world in HerbCal tabs. I'm using vitamin C. What do you guys have there? Well, as a matter of fact, our vitamin C tabs are made with rose hips, and that is the highest quality vitamin C, highest percentage you can find anywhere. It goes on and on. Are you using a toothpaste with fluoride? Not so good for you necessarily, depending on your opinion with fluoride. So again, we can kind of cover some things with them here that'll show them, oh, okay, I can see that. Yeah, maybe instead of that, and I don't want to put down Subway or McDonald's or anybody else. I'm not putting anybody down in terms of third-party stuff. But again, where can I replace one of those meals each day with somebody in Sunrider? That's where our Vita Shake, New Plus, et cetera, comes into play. So again, that's why we added this slide in. And Wendy, thank you so very much for making that suggestion. So there we are. Okay, this is where we now carry on, okay? When I, again, typically talk to people about Sunrider for the first time, I like to focus on our foundational foods because I've talked about philosophy of regeneration. I've brought up nourish, balance, and cleanse and what that means to me. And that's why I put up here these 4 products in terms of that conversation. Again, if you're doing a presentation and your focus is skincare, talk to me. I'll put together another slide for you that shows skincare products like the basic 4-step program or whatever it is that you guys want to talk about in terms of your personalized presentations. Talk to me. I'll work with you on some of this stuff, okay? Where we typically go from here is, again, where does it begin? How do we get to that rank of Star Prime? And again, it starts with you personally consuming $200 in this example per month on Sunrider products, and then us helping you identify 4 people that might have a similar need, interest, or dream that's willing to do the same thing. Now, for what that's worth, it creates with this 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, $1,000 in your group, which makes you a star prime. You're earning in that neighborhood of 150 to 200 bucks, depending on really if people are spending 200, 300, whatever that volume ends up being. But you are then considered a builder leg within the compensation plan. So obviously, okay, I do this. Great, Mac, you, Bob, Wendy, Judy, Lisa, whoever's working with me to identify my four. We have this presentation with them. We share with them the foods, etc. I'm getting them in as IBOs. They're starting to consume. What do we do to help them? Same scenario. We're back to our four, okay? We work with them to do exactly the same thing, finding their four people so they can create themselves as a bigger builder leg, which then helps to push you to that magic rank of Ace Royal, which again, depending on how the volumes play out, you're earning anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 a month in income, which has now set you up at that number that can actually begin to really start to change your life, okay? And then the next logical step is where does it go from here? And that brings us to that third magic rank we talked about, which is Hero Royal. And then that instance, we're working with those four and their four to get them up to Ace Royal. And that pushes up towards our volume needs for Hero Royal and that magic number of $20,000+ a month in income. So again, it all comes back to the number four and helping people do the same. And, you know, something I worked out for tonight's or this afternoon's meeting that I'll go ahead and share with you guys right now because it was pretty compelling. And one of the things you'll hear me talk about tonight is leverage, which some of you have heard me discuss before. But when you start doing the numbers here and going through this, remember, it started with you as one person. You find your four. All of a sudden, it's 5. We help them to do the same. Now there's 21 people in the group. We help all of them to do the same. Now there's 90 people in the group, and it just grows exponentially from there. That's the type of leverage I'll be talking about later this afternoon in that call, okay? In any case, power of 4. How do you find your 4 builders, build your three Ace Royals in your 4th builder leg? That's where we help you, okay, in this process. You know the people that you come in contact with. We'll help you do these presentations. More importantly, we'll help you become empowered so you can feel comfortable to do some of these presentations yourself over time. And that's something else you'll hear me talk about later today in terms of duplication. I think the 80-20 rule really does apply. And for those that aren't familiar, and boy, I've lived this as much of us have, you can talk to 100 people and you might get 100 no's. But typically what I have found is there's going to be some percentage, around 20%, that will at least say, yeah, I'd like to hear a little bit more. Sure, I could use some income. And if it's not extra income, a lot of those people will at least become customers because they will have heard from us about the products. We will have shared a sample or two with them. They'll try them. And again, I'm preaching to the choir. Once we start on Sunrider products, it's typically something we don't want to give up. And I really am going to have to work on this timing with this presentation. Plan of action for those 4 that join the team. That's where this whole power of 4 and the 8 steps come into play. The Ace Royals, again, earning around $2,000 a month, Hero 20,000 plus. We'll show you how you pick the win. I can speak for Bob, Donna, myself, and Wendy, Judy, and Lisa, if you two don't mind, for sure, in that we're here to help you be accountable, but I'm not here to be anybody's boss, okay? If you tell me you only have 1 hour a month to work on Sunrider, we'll work within that 1 hour. So that's where this will show you how you pick the win. Obviously, the more time you spend with this, the faster your results will come. But again, this is all about you guys and how much time you have and you're able to spend on working on things like this, because I get it. It's not like a traditional job, that's for sure, but it does take action to build a team and to support them and to do the things that we're doing. So again, don't want to belabor that. Back to the infinity plan. Again, we're going to do our little numbers and you'll see them flip again and all that kind of stuff. But the real important part about this slide is it's the bottom. We are compensated based on value, that we bring to the marketplace. And by the marketplace, I mean everybody in our groups that we're sharing with, be it a product person, an IBO, or whoever that is. The more value we bring, obviously, the higher our rank is and the more income that we can earn. As everybody knows, there's 3 different ways to join Sunrider. Going back to that 80-20 rule, I mean, if people aren't interested in the business opportunity, but they have some interest in as being a customer, I'll talk to them about that. Hey, become a retail customer, join for free, purchases our competitive retail pricing, or better yet, consider investing $19.95 in your future, become a preferred customer, and at least get somewhere between a 5 and a 15% discount on your favorite products, depending on how you like to order. If it's by auto ship, etc. There's a lot of free perks for preferred customers, like free shipping based on the size of your order, special promotions, etc., that Sunrider puts out each month. Or if you want to join us as part of our team in this business, join as an IBO, begin to work with us through the power of 4, the 8 critical steps, etc., and we'll help you to accomplish your goals. So that's typically how I handle the joining process. Again, I like to bring it back to the fact of how do people, IBOs, PCs, customers usually start. It's with one of our Sun Packs, which again, Judy and Wendy and I have laughed about on previous calls, because when we think back in time, how did we always start people? With a Sun Pack, you know? So it's great. And Sunrider still offers us 3 different versions of that. There's a sampler pack, there's a once a day, if you will, Sun Pack, and then there's a twice a day Sun Pack. And the prices of each are reflected, as well as the quantity of products you get. And as we all know, if Sun Pack isn't in the cards for somebody, they only have $10 to invest this month. Heck, buy a box of Fortune Delight, you know, start with something like that where it'll begin to impact your body. You can feel a change. It'll help flush the fat. I mean, if there's any of these 5 products that are up on the screen right now, and I can only pick one for somebody to start with, well, this is not true, because for me, I'd normally suggest New Plus because it's my favorite. But Fortune Delight is the one that I think people are easiest with. It's a $10 or $12 investment, depending on how they've joined. They can sample it. We can share with them. We can follow up with them. They can sense the cleanse and so forth. They can feel the effect of, again, what Fortune Delight does for the body. So that's why I put this slide in here. And then lastly, I mean, people will come back and they'll say, well, tell me about these 8 steps. And in this particular presentation, I don't like to go into a lot of depth with this, because that's for a future conversation. But again, like it said in the Power of 4, it starts with that personal use. It's talking to people and developing customers. It's finding out who's interested in the business and showing the Power of 4. And then there's the personal growth side, which again, we can talk about more in another call or different times. But you know, there's a lot of books that are everything from self-improvement to leadership to how to market effectively, you name it. There's a ton of books and videos out there that kind of help us in terms of developing skills that will help us in our business. Events, you know, I mean, we've got a virtual convention starting on Saturday, okay? It costs $35 to register. Tons of content that's like Netflix. It's all loaded at one time, and you've got 4 days to binge watch, you know? And plus, you get a $35 credit, which covers your investment costs, that you can use to buy products during the convention 4-day period. Those are the kind of events we're talking about. Coming to convention regularly, if it was being able to happen live. Being on the Rising Stars team calls, you know, every Tuesday night, etc. I can go on and on. Counsel, working with your upline. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Bob and Donna. It may be Wendy. It may be Judy. It may be Lisa. It may be somebody else in the line that you just can resonate with that will help you, because again, your personalities match, you know? So again, look for those people in this Rising Stars group and in this team in particular that you really feel comfortable working with. Use them as your mentor, use them as your counsel. And again, the last one is associations. That can be anything from being part of Eric Worre's Facebook group and learning more about generic network marketing principles, to joining something like BNI in your local community and participating in that kind of thing. being in a woman's group, a new mothers group, for me, karate and guitar lovers group. It's whatever turns you on. There are a ton of associations out there that you can be part of where, again, it starts out very generic. I love karate, so I'm in a number of Facebook karate groups. I don't talk about Sunrider in those groups. I talk about, the 3 rules of focus: focus in the eyes, focus in the mind, focus in the body. I'll get somebody responding to that, and then I'll kind of lead the conversation to, well, these things they also apply to your health. And what do you do for your health? I mean, are you a vegetarian? Are you a vegan? Are you a meat eater? It starts the conversation. You guys get where I'm coming from, right? So again, these are the kind of steps where, if you're in this group and if you're interested in building your business this way, Bob, Donna, myself, Wendy, Judy, Lisa will all spend time working with you. We'll be doing other calls, etc., where we're going to dig into each of these areas in much more depth, answer questions, help you guys any way we can to be successful through these 8 steps. And with that, this is where I normally say thanks for joining us. This has been fun. If you have questions, get back to the person that shared the link with you. This happened to be Judy's version of the Power of 4 I was using, so that's why her information's up here. But ladies, that's what this is all about in terms of Power of 4. So bear with me 2 seconds. I'm going to end the show. I am then going to hopefully come back over here. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me come over here, stop sharing, and I will